bring us up to date with Sally and the markets and the reaction to the Spanish bank bailout, well, which is specifically for the banks bailout in any other name. There was some euphoria, or at least some optimism yesterday ahead of the market open, and we saw Europe open higher, but that euphoria seems to have tailed off.
It didn't really last long, which is no great surprise because everybody that we were talking to and that followed during the day discussing this €100 billion bailout for Spanish banks did say that it's really just a sticking plaster. It helps a small element within the full Eurozone crisis, debt crisis story, but it by no means really deals with the real cause of the issues. So not a big surprise there, but also as well we had Italy saying that their recession was deeper than they thought. We had news from Cyprus saying that actually they think that their banks need bailing out as well. Of course, Cyprus is very heavily dependent on Greece, so it's not surprising that Cyprus is having a tough time. Just, the bad headlines about the Eurozone story just came rolling in the afternoons. Consequently, the markets in Europe and the US fell, quite heavily. The interest rate on Spanish debt went up again, climbing to over 6%, 6.5% at one point. So another very tough day. And today, Asian shares falling quite significantly again. So we're looking at that.
Badly. I know we're going to look in the newspapers as well about the situation in Italy and, of course, the situation with the bond yields as well. Let's talk about some corporate news. And Apple and Google have really been at loggerheads lately, haven't they?
They have. Apple and Google have sort of a new element has come to this story where Google and Apple in the beginning, when the iPhone was launched, they were working together, but then Google launched the Android, and that caused the two to really be at loggerheads. Apple's announced it's dropping the Google mapping system from the iPhone. A big fight erupting there, so we'll have more on that too.
Look forward to it, Sally. Thanks. Thousands of anti-government protesters will take to the streets in Russia's capital, Moscow, later to criticise Vladimir Putin's return to the Kremlin for a third term as president. There have been intense efforts to crush the dissent. Police raided the homes of several opposition leaders on Monday, and Russia's parliament recently approved new laws to impose heavy fines on protesters. Our correspondent in Moscow, Steve Rosenberg, sent this report.